We got some NikWax tent and gear Solarproof spray-on waterproofing and UV blocker. Go ahead and open this up. We're gonna do my Icarus 500. It's just set up in the backyard here in a makeshift way. So apparently you screw the top in, and I guess you just wedge it in. I don't know. Give it a shot here. Really confused. I guess that doesn't really make any sense, but I guess it's just to hold the tube in while you spray. So now we're gonna try spraying. I shook the bottle first, obviously. All right, it says should be pretty. Let's get this nozzle going. There we go. All right. Finally getting some spray here. Let's just make this so it's not so open. All right, so I got it figured out. I got it turned down to a pretty fine mist, and then I'm just spraying it. And it is white, as you can see. And when you look closely, you can see it coating the tent. You probably won't be able to see it with the camera, but I'm just gonna go over the whole tent once, and it should be good. It says you have to wipe off the excess once you let it dry for a bit, so I assume like some of these spots where there's more than just mist, I'll just kind of wipe it off and wipe it down. Should be good to go. Alright, so I just went around the whole thing and sprayed it. It just says spray evenly and then wait 2 minutes and wipe off the excess. So you can see like there's a real fine mist over the whole thing, and then in some spots there's excess, so I'll have to just wipe that off in a minute. And it was really easy. It went pretty fast. I actually barely used any of that. Like this side there's a lot of excess, you can see, but I guess if I wipe it down it'll kind of coat the whole tent fabric. I wiped down the tent before I sprayed it just to clean it off. I know they recommend you buying one of their products to clean the tent, but my tent wasn't very dirty in the first place, so it didn't feel like spending the money. You can see I used up to there, so barely any, but that'll be good because I'll be able to use it for my other tent. And then next year again, or later on this year, or whatever, and we'll see what it does. My tent didn't leak before, so I'm just doing this as a precautionary measure, I guess. And I think I'm going to do another video showing off the Icarus 500 because it's a really good tent. I'm gonna wipe it down now. I did use a step stool to get onto the top, and I kind of made it into a more direct spray so I could get some distance on the spray. And then I'm going to probably start pulling the tent down a little bit so that I can wipe the top all down. I'm just wiping off the excess. And to me, if I see that all the fabric is wet, that will make me feel a bit better about it, so I know that I got the product all over all the canvas. I don't know if this is correct, but it says to wipe off the excess, and there's a lot of excess on this door. So after I wipe it down, I will take out the camera again, I guess. Alright, well I'm just finishing up the rubbing down the whole tent, and in hindsight, it would be easier to apply it if the tent was fully erect. As you can see, mine is just barely, just the four corners are barely staked in. I was just drying it out after the last tenting experience and camping trip. And if it was tighter, it'd be easier to wipe it all down because it wouldn't be so saggy. And but my rag here in my hand is soaked, so I definitely put a lot on the cloth. But it says, you just wipe off the excess. And now this was the corner I started on. It already feels pretty darn dry. So it's actually a pretty fast application, and it says you don't have to wait for the tent to be completely dry to do it either. I still need to get some off the top there. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that. But yeah, you can see some of the tent is still wet in parts, but I'm sure that'll dry and form a nice barrier against the weather for me. Well, I figured out a way. The best way for me to get at the top of the tent was to just kind of pop the tent down like this and put the I pulled out the corners, and then just the one corner, and then I slid the poles backwards so it kind of just collapses on itself, and I'm able to reach to the very top if I reach up and pull it down. And since nothing's really tight, there's a lot of give, and I'll do the same up on this side so I can reach the very top. And but yeah, that's pretty much, it's a good way to be able to reach the top of the tent to wipe down the excess fluid, or to apply it too. If I wanted to, I could have just sprayed the whole tent except for the top and then did the top separately. It might have been a little bit easier as well, so I could know that the other parts of the tent were dry before I started pulling it down on top of itself. Yeah, I think that should be it on this NikWax solar proofing my tent video.